Sophia, the transfer still didn't go through. Maybe it's a bank glitch, can you please check? Her mother-in-law's voice carried that familiar mix of worry and expectation, the kind that always assumed Sophia would pause whatever she was doing and step into the problem. The call came mid-morning, just as sunlight had begun pooling across the kitchen floor. Sophia didn't answer immediately. She watched the steam curl from her coffee, thin and temporary, then lifted the phone. "I'm sure the bank is functioning," she said evenly. There was a brief silence on the other end, followed by a tighter note of insistence. "Well, something must be wrong. It's never late." Sophia leaned against the counter. Years of conversations like this lived quietly in her body, not dramatic enough to remember individually, but persistent enough to shape something deeper. The small suggestions about how Sophia should handle finances, the gentle reminders about family obligations, the recurring assumption that access and involvement were interchangeable. Always subtle, always reasonable on the surface. "I wouldn't worry yet," Sophia replied. Another pause. Then, "Can you log in and check, just to be safe?" Sophia smiled, though there was no amusement in it. "Look out the window," she said. "What?" "The driveway." The hesitation this time was longer, layered with confusion. Sophia could almost see her standing there, phone pressed to her ear, curtains shifting. "I don't understand. Do you recognize your son's suitcases?" The air seemed to change. Sophia heard movement, not frantic, but uncertain, like someone stepping into a room that no longer matched memory. "What is this supposed to mean?" "Step outside." The words were quiet, unadorned. For years, Sophia had tried to articulate discomfort without ever quite finding language that didn't sound exaggerated. Nothing catastrophic had happened. No explosive arguments. Just an endless series of minor adjustments, minor accommodations, minor intrusions, opinions presented as advice, preferences framed as tradition, decisions revisited until they softened. Individually harmless, collectively exhausting. Sophia remembered the first time she'd noticed the pattern clearly. Not during conflict, but during paperwork. Mortgage documents spread across the dining table. Her mother-in-law leaning over with a casual curiosity that lingered too long. "You should really think about joint structures," she'd said lightly. "It's safer for families." Sophia had nodded then, uncertain, still calibrating what was normal, what was generous, what was simply how families operated. It took years to understand that kindness without boundaries was interpreted as permission. "I'm coming out," the older woman said now, voice thinner. Sophia walked toward the living room window. The suitcases sat neatly beside the car, their presence oddly calm against the ordinary suburban backdrop. No spectacle. Just fact. "You're moving?" her mother-in-law asked, breath audible. "We are." "But why would you do something like this without talking to us?" Sophia didn't answer immediately, because every previous conversation had ended the same way, softened, redirected, reframed. Concerns became misunderstandings, boundaries became hurt feelings, decisions became negotiations, words dissolved, structures held. "We did talk," Sophia said finally. "No, we didn't. We did. Just not in the way you expected." Another silence stretched between them, dense and uncomfortable. Sophia heard the shift then, not anger, not yet, but destabilization. The moment when influence searches for its familiar footing and finds none. "This is about the transfer, isn't it?" the older woman said carefully. "No." "Then what is it about?" Sophia watched a neighbor walk past, offering an absent-minded wave. "It's about separation of responsibilities," she replied. "I don't know what that means." "It means our finances are no longer accessible for discussion." "That's ridiculous." "It's documented." The word landed differently. Sophia didn't rush to elaborate. The authority wasn't emotional, it was procedural. Weeks of appointments, signatures, consultations conducted without hostility or secrecy, just clarity. Bank accounts restructured. Legal protections established. Property titles adjusted. Advisory permissions revoked. Nothing dramatic, everything definitive. "You went to a lawyer," her mother-in-law asked.
Yes.
Without accusation, without flourish. And your husband agreed to this? He was present. Sophia could feel the tension on the line tighten, searching for an argument, a contradiction, an opening. But paperwork rarely argued back. You're making this sound so cold, the older woman murmured. Sophia considered that. It's not cold, she said. It's stable. Across the driveway her husband emerged from the house, carrying the last bag. His movements were steady, no visible conflict. No theatrical rupture. Just coordination. This is going to hurt the family, the older woman said. Maybe. The honesty of it seemed to unsettle more than defensiveness would have. Sophia remembered how long she'd equated peace with compliance, how often discomfort had been deferred to avoid appearing ungrateful, dramatic, sensitive. Manipulation had never announced itself, it had simply accumulated. You could have handled this differently, her mother-in-law whispered. Sophia watched her husband close the trunk. I tried. The words were soft, almost tired. Another silence followed, this one less combative, more uncertain. The sound of someone standing in a driveway, confronted not with confrontation but consequence. When are you coming back? The older woman asked. We're not disappearing. That's not what I asked. Sophia exhaled slowly. We're just living separately. The distinction hung there, fragile and unsatisfying. There was no shouting, no dramatic farewell. Only the faint rustle of wind and distant traffic filling the conversational gaps. Sophia ended the call gently. As the car pulled away, there was no surge of victory, no cinematic relief. Only a strange, quiet lightness edged with something heavier, grief without regret, distance without hostility. Behind them, the house grew smaller. Ahead, the road remained unremarkably open.